All right, so I'll get to Gene in a video lesson tomorrow. Congrats to everybody who shorted. I made a few $1,000, but I am so proud of so many students who held their shorts from the nines, eights, and even sevens down to the sixes. And after hours, it's actually getting closer to the fives. So fantastic job. So many people did better than me. I'll talk about what I did right and what I did wrong. But today I want to go over this little trade. I didn't alert it because I didn't even realize it was in my account. I have multiple different brokerage accounts, and lately I've been using my high net worth broker and E-Trade because frankly those two brokers have the best shares to short right now of stocks like Gene. But Interactive Brokers does have better borrows on stocks under $2 a share. E-Trade you won't find any, if maybe some, but not many stocks under $2 a share to short. My high net worth broker has it, but they also charge like a penny a share for hard to borrow fees. And when you're shorting a stock at $1 or 50 cents or 20 cents, it adds up. So I prefer shorting at Interactive Brokers, and I actually nailed this one inadvertently. I made 46% on my money pretty much overnight, and I didn't even know that I had the position, and that's probably why I made 46%. I have a few patience problems, in case you've noticed. Even when I'm dead on right about a stock like Gene, I take profits way, 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 way too quickly. And the 4.2 million that I've made in trading, a lot of people think that, oh, Tim, you're special, you've done amazing things. No, I'm not anywhere near best case scenario. So that's why I got into teaching. Those who can't do teach, and I cannot really maximize my potential. But the good news is I can transfer that potential to you, and you don't have to cry for me. I make a pretty good living just by trading alone. I made nearly $1 million last year, and I also focus most of my time on teaching these days, and that makes me a few million a year. So I want to show you useful tricks. That's what it comes down to. You can hate on me. You can say, "Oh, Tim, you're an idiot. You cover too quickly." You sometimes I don't cut losses quickly. Like, I've had some undisciplined trades. I'm not perfect. I'm very far from perfect, and I think a lot of people are surprised that a multi-millionaire trader can be so imperfect. But that's who I am, and I want you to learn from my successes and my failures. And I have a lot of little mistakes, nothing huge. I don't use leverage. I don't let a stock run like $3, $4, $5 a share against me. But at the same time, I don't maximize the opportunities. That said, I nailed CLRX. And, I've gone over this kind of trick in several webinars for my trading challenge students. I hope you guys who are in my trading challenge are watching the archive webinars. We have over 100 now. Especially watch Tim Grittani's. He has nearly 20 webinars that are exclusive for trading challenge students. So even if you hate on me, you can't really hate on Tim Grittani, the single most successful trader of the past few years that I've seen anywhere in any market, percent-wise, turning a few thousand into a few million. Um, Anyways, rant aside, CLRX, I made 46% by using a GTC order, a good till cancel order at Interactive Brokers. I provided a screenshot just because I know some people won't believe me. Um, well, I guess I should have made this thing wider, but you'll see that it was just 530 shares, and my average was like $2.25, so roughly a $1,200 position. So a lot of people are like, Tim, I can't make that much when I have a small account. Well, I made over $500 overnight on a $1,200 position. If you invest $1,200 like CNBC and all these bullshit financial media networks and media say, oh, you're going to make 10, 20% over a year, maybe two, that's fucking pathetic. That's not going to get you rich, okay? Making 46% overnight again and again and again will over time. Whether you have $1,200 or $12,000 or $120,000, it doesn't matter. CLRX, I shorted, and again, I didn't realize I had any of this in my account because I wasn't checking my Interactive Brokers account. I saw this the next day, so I got kind of lucky there. But I was shorting on the 19th. I shorted some pre-market and some I got executed, I guess, at 2:09 p.m. Shorted 30 shares and then 500 shares. And I think I put in an order to short 2,500, a GTC order. And Interactive Brokers will execute a GTC order when you're shorting, ideally a pumped up piece of crap like CLRX was, and they'll execute it whenever they have shares to short. So putting in a GTC order, it's very dangerous because, as you can see, I got some executed at 165 and some at 229. I mean, it could have gone to 3. But the beautiful thing is that when I put in a GTC order, it's only on a stock where I'm pretty damn confident that it's going to crash in the next few days. So it's not a question of if it's going to crash. It's a question of finding shares to short and getting them at a good price. So I put in my limit. I think I used a limit order of like $1.50 or $1.60. I don't even remember. It was up from, you can see the chart here. It was at $1.20 right here. This is a 7-day chart of CLRX. So it was already up substantially. I put in my order pre-market just to see if I could get it. And I got some executed at 160, and then I got a lot executed. What did I get it at? At 229, which turned out to be pretty good right around here as it was fading. And Interactive Brokers found shares to short. And, if I had known about the position at 220, well, I guess my average was 225 overall, I probably would have covered at like 180, and I would have made, locked in my 30, 40 cents a share. The good news is that with the GTC order, and when you have patience problems like me, I checked in the next day, and I didn't even check in. What time did I check in? It was like 1:30. Yeah, so I didn't even use Interactive Brokers on the 20th, on Friday. So I didn't even look at this. And then I was looking through my positions. I'm like, wait a minute. I'm short 530 shares of CLRX. And at that time, the stock was, there was no way for me to lose money. I didn't even have to cover. But when you have a 46% profit, you pretty much take it, especially when it's an inadvertent 46% profit like this. And the reason why the stock dropped is not because it's just a crappy company. Crappy companies can go up for several days or even several weeks. It dropped because they did a financing. This company has used the increase in their stock price to pull off a financing and raise money in order to, basically survive. I mean, this is not a good company, as you can tell by the stock chart. It was hanging around 60 cents. Some penny stock promoters were pumping it up in here in the low ones. And then, this was like a freak fluke. I don't know. I still don't know what pushed it up all the way to the twos. I saw some emails. I don't even know anymore. There's so many different penny stock promoters, and they have so many weird email lists. What I have learned from this is that when you have this death drop, multi-year death drop in a stock, and you have penny stock promoters who are pumping it up, and that when they pumped it up, it had gone from roughly like 70 cents to, I think the first time I was shorting it, what was it? I was shorting it like at $1.50-ish, and it didn't really drop, so I covered basically break even. Then it came down to 120 and then spike up to 2. So long story short, anytime you have this death drop and you have this exponential run up from 60 cents to the twos or even the mid ones, a triple or a quadruple off the lows, if you put in a GTC order, there's a pretty good chance that you're going to make money if Interactive Brokers can find shares to short. And by putting a good till canceled order in, it can get executed at any time. Don't just put in a market order. Don't just say, oh, I'll short it at any price. Specify the price. I literally think my price was $1.60, and that's why I got some at $1.65 and then more at $2.29. But either way, even if I had shorted all 530 shares at $1.60 and covered at $1.20, I'd still make 40 cents a share on 500 shares, $200 on a $1,200 investment. So this is, and you can see the profits. This is my profit, $558 and then $6 in commissions. And so I basically made $552 on a $1,200 investment. And most of Wall Street will say, a few $100, this is crap. Penny stocks, it's crap. Short selling, there's so much risks. I don't know, I mean, this is how I've made my millions. This is how my top students have made their millions. A few $100, a few thousand at a time. I wish there were more shares to short. In hindsight, yeah, I should have used my high net worth broker and shorted, 50,000 shares at 220. I'm trading with a smaller account though in 2015, and to short a low price stock in size takes up a large amount of my small account. So, and especially when I don't even know the reason for the run up, I'm not going to go big. But to make an extra few $100 or an extra few $1,000 here or there by simply knowing this trick, knowing to use a good till cancel order instead of putting it in an order and it says there's no shares to short, and so you get fed up and you're like, ah, there's no shares to short. Well, Interactive Brokers looks for shares, okay? They want your commissions. They want you to do the trade. So they're going to look for shares to short. A lot of short sellers are angry at me. Scammers are angry at me for exposing their scams. Short sellers are angry at me for talking about, how to short and where to short and these little techniques. FYI to all scammers and to all short sellers, don't be angry at education and transparency, okay? I make this niche more popular. I bring more people in. That means there are going to be people who are buying these stocks because, CLRX actually was a pretty good buy, and more people who are shorting them. And if you're a scammer or promoter, you should want more shorters because you can squeeze short sellers using your manipulation techniques. I'm not saying what you do is right or ethical. I don't approve, but I understand that it's inevitable, that there's always going to be scammers. And you watching this as, a random trader or student of mine, you should understand there's always going to be scams. There's always going to be pump and dumps. There's always going to be small stocks that are being hyped and manipulated, and that opens the door to opportunity if you're ready. I got an email from somebody regarding Gene because they couldn't find shares to short, and they're like, Tim, you've shorted Gene, Gene, so many times, and I can't short at all. This is so useless. Well, if you take my lessons, and I've said this during several trading challenge webinars also, if you take the lessons about when to short and when to cover your short, like namely Gene, I shorted it way too many times. I was so undisciplined, not waiting for the red day, thinking it's going to crack, not wanting to miss the big crack. And I'm breaking my own rules. And if you had learned about short selling, and if you had learned my rules and could say, wait, Tim is breaking his own rules and the stock is not breaking support at 4, 5, 6, 7, you could go long every time a stock fails to break down. And that way, by understanding short selling and learning about short selling, you now understand that sometimes the best shorts can make the best longs. And CLRX, this is not just a technique about understanding that using a good till cancel order and you can profit on the way down. Look at this. This thing spiked dramatically. And a lot of people, were buying it in here in the 220s and selling it in here in the 260s. It doesn't matter. There's multiple angles. This is the beauty of penny stocking, whether you want to go long, whether you want to go short. The key is understanding what pushes these stocks up. How do you find these stocks? How do you find shares to short? When do you short? When do you buy? Understand how to look at these charts. And that's what I teach. So you can ignore me. Many people do, but you'll see that over time, my lessons and my rules, while they might seem weird, one of my main rules is to consider yourself a retired trader and only come back into the market and take yourself out of retirement when there's a good play. I know that might seem weird for a full-time trader like me and a trading coach, but it helps you focus on these great plays. And putting in a good till canceled order when a stock is spiking ridiculously and just using a random limit, that might sound crazy, but I just made 46% overnight. Okay? You can't make 46% overnight in GE or Google or a mutual fund or an ETF or oil or gold or so much stuff that all of mainstream finance thinks is what you should be trading. I like inefficient plays like this where not many people are following it. You can make big amounts of money in a short amount of time, and if you're wrong, you just got to be able to cut losses quickly. That is the rules by which I live. That is why I'm rich. That is why several of my top students are rich. And I will continually make video lessons whether I have 530 shares to short or 500,000 shares to short. A lot of big traders think, oh, Tim, this is so useless for such small trades and small positions. Nothing is useless, okay? I don't care if I short one share. Really, I don't. It would still be a good lesson, because there's lessons about everything and there's lessons in transparency. And shame on so many traders, especially big traders, who don't want to alert their specific trades because they don't want the trade to be crowded. Screw your selfishness, okay? Do what's good for the industry. Create more transparency. That brings more people into this game, more volume, more volatility, more plays, more shares to short because brokers are whores and they want more commissions. Understand how everything is related and you will really appreciate it like I do. I'm kind of fortunate because I get more emails than probably anybody in the penny stock world, and I talk to more people than anybody else, so I see all the different angles. These plays will always happen. You can always make a 46% profit overnight. This is not a unique trade, okay? This is just one trade. And I want you guys to realize that. So, using a good till canceled order, shorting at Interactive Brokers, a stock up for basically no reason that's been pumped up by penny stock promoters, shorting into the exponential run up, and covering when they announce some bad news. That is this play. Thank you guys. Have a good weekend.